Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Travel and Tourism Podcast, My First Season. My guests and I have never met, but we do have one great friend in common that we will talk about a bit later. Her first season was in Club Med St. Lucia in 1986 as a snorkeling GO. Fun fact about her, she has visited a whopping 103 countries and will also be talking about a passion project of hers called Culture Club, Real People, Real Places, Real Adventure. And we'll also touch on a big part of her life, which is called the Traveler Century Club, which is for travelers who have visited 100 or more countries and territories. So without further ado, please help me welcome to my first season, living in beautiful San Diego, California, Sharon Lee. Hey Sharon, how are you?
Hey, good morning. Hi Greg, good afternoon, wherever we are. How are you?
Yeah, this darn 3-hour difference. Morning
Yes.
for you, afternoon for me. So how you doing today?
I am so great. Been looking forward to this, and I can't thank you enough for having me on. I'm so excited to talk about the best part of my life and all the fun adventures.
All right. And also, before we begin, you promised to abide by my no hookup story policy, correct?
Oh my gosh, are you? Oh, I guess.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know what
I
we're going
hope,
to talk about because that was like half of my Club Med career, but okay, I'll try.
okay. Yeah, I hope I'm not hamstringing you here. Okay. But even I have some clean stories from my first season, and I was in Turks and Caicos. Okay.
Oh my goodness, see, we got to talk about you too then.
Okay.
Awesome. I'll try to keep it clean. All right.
So, Sharon, if you are sitting comfortably and ready, you know how we do on the show. If you could take me back in time to where you were living, what you were doing, were you working, were you going to school, and how did you find out about Club Med?
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Greg. This is exciting. And hello to all my XGO friends out there. I was looking forward to this. So yeah, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles and around 16 years old. My mother took me to Ixtapa Club Med for a little mother-daughter bonding trip. And when I got to Ixtapa, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest job in the world. Girls were in bikini tops. The guys were in little shorts and Speedos. And I'm like, they were all happy and tan. I'm like, this is the life for me.
Well, wait,
So
Sharon, how old were you when
oh,
you took this trip?
16.
16. Okay, 16, trip
16.
with Ixtapa to mom. Okay, please go on.
Yep. Trip with mom, Ixtapa. Yep, Club Med. I was 16. I think it was 1984. Yes, 1984. So got back, had to finish high school, graduated when I was 17. And then I got admitted into college, but I couldn't get the Club Med, thing off my mind because that was such a great experience and left a really, really big impression on me. So at 17 and a half, right after high school, I went to a travel agency and I looked through the Club Med brochure. And I'm like, oh, that was such a great trip. I want to work there. I wonder how this works. And I didn't really know anything about it, but I'd always been thinking about it. And I flipped through the Club Med brochure and I found the prettiest one, which I thought was St. Lucia at the time. I'm like, oh, this looks nice. So I went to a travel agency and I had saved some money from working at a pizza place. And I said, hey, I want a one-way ticket to St. Lucia. Found the cheapest hotel directly across the street from St. Lucia, from the Club Med there in St. Lucia, and packed a bag and told my mother, okay, this is a huge box over here. You're going to ship to me if I tell you to. And this is a smaller box that you may need to ship to me if I let you know that as well. So off to St. Lucia to this really small, dumpy hotel across the street from Club Med. I check out the next morning, go across the way, and just walk onto the grounds. This is me at 17 with no ticket home. And I went in and said, hey, I want to work here. And they're like, well, you can't just work here. There's a whole process and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm here now. And I speak French. And there's a snorkeling lesson going on
Wait,
over there.
Sharon,
Oh,
you
yes.
dropped a nugget here. Where did you learn French?
Oh, I went to a French academy in Los Angeles called Cardin Academy, which is in the Valley. And je parle seulement français back then, but c'est longtemps depuis je parle français. So it's been a long time.
Okay, no, that was a very good accent, but whose choice was it to go to this academy? Yours or your mother's?
My mother's.
Your mother's. Okay. Did you want to learn French?
It
I
was
mean,
weird.
now I'm sure now you appreciate that you can speak the language, right? But maybe
I
back
do.
then,
I'm just not good at it. Well, I was a lot better, back then because
well, sure,
it was for,
you have to speak it every day to not lose it, basically. But your accent
exactly.
is very, very good.
Oh, merci bien. It's very different than Canadian,
Yes,
Quebecois.
yes, very, very different. But yeah, it's I didn't know that. So that's pretty interesting. So was this
Oh,
like
thank you.
5 years or 4 years of high school in French? Is that what they
No,
do?
actually, so Cardin Academy was from like first grade to sixth. So I was in the plays Le Petit Canard and Le Dame Chasse le Rat. That was my first, The Lady Chases the Rat. And yeah, that's what I did from first grade up until sixth, and then went on to high school at a high school in the Valley in Los Angeles, which was a private Baptist high school, but the French, I didn't take any more French past that. So basically a French academy when we learned all of the, lessons with everything, but a French base. So all of our little programs were in French, our plays were in French. And so it was just part of my growing up.
Okay. Now let me get this straight. So you went to St. Lucia with a one-way ticket?
Yes, I did.
So you were intent on like getting either a contract or becoming au pair at this Club Med resort?
Yes, I was. I didn't
Okay.
even know anything about it. Yeah, my mom was a real big traveler. That's kind of why I've traveled so much. My parents, they had me kind of later in life, and they had traveled so much. And so when I came along, they just took me with them. So I know a lot of people wonder why I travel and I'm so, brave and just go do these things. But that's because it was sort of born into me, kind of like the French Academy, then dragged off to, go to Western Europe when I was 13 and so that's
Okay.
just kind of
Okay.
my
All right.
strange background.
I know. Let's stick with St. Lucia. All right. So
Yeah,
you
okay.
tell them you speak French. Then what
Yes.
happens?
So the gentleman at the lobby, I think back then we had hostesses and security guards and all kinds of different stuff back in 1986. And he said, "Well, that's nice, but the chief of the village is here. His name is Jose, and we have to find him." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll wait. I've got no ticket back and a tiny suitcase and just me." So I waited about 45 minutes, and Jose came out and said again, "Why did you think you could just come here?" I'm like, "Well, because I want to work here." And there's just no question in my mind that that's where I should be, right? There's no issue. I'm here and this is where I'm going to stay. So I said, "I'll tell you what." And he seemed very hesitant because I had not gone through the application process, no interview, no nothing. I just showed up on the doorstep, literally, in 1986. So he said, "Well, okay." I said, "I'll make you a deal. I'll stay for 2 weeks. And if you don't like me, I promise I'll just leave. I'll get a ticket and I'll go home." And 4 months later, I was still there and turned out to be one of the greatest experiences where I met some great friends. One of your friends that I know about that we both know.
Well,
And
yeah. Well, before we talk to him, you kind of fast forwarded through a lot. So you're saying you stayed 2 weeks. Now, did you say you were working au pair for 2 weeks? Is that what you meant?
no, I was negotiating with Jose Aliel, one of the greatest chef de villages of all time, Jose Aliel. And I told him that was my negotiation. I said, "If you don't like me, I'll leave in 2 weeks." But yes, I did fast forward through that part.
Okay, but wait. But you saying you were staying at a hotel across the street? So were you?
Oh
just...
no, I checked out. I only had one night paid there because I came from California, so I had to, it's with the time change and everything. I wanted to be fresh, so I stayed in the dumpy hotel that like had steam coming out of the shower and goats running around and chickens. I checked out of that hotel that next morning, and that was it. I mean,
Okay, but then where did you go? Did you go into the Club Med? Is that what you're saying?
So I just walked across the street. Yep.
Were you a guest or so you weren't
Nope.
working? Okay, so I was saying so you were, but you be okay. Were these 2 weeks? Were you working or were you a guest?
Oh no. So sorry. Okay. No, I just flew there because I wanted to work there, right?
No. You're saying you said to Jose like you look at me for 2 weeks and then you decide if you want me to stay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but were you working au pair or were you a GM?
Well, I didn't even know what au pair meant. I just
Okay.
said I'll just live here and work here.
Okay,
and
so what did you do those 2 weeks?
so then he said, "Okay, you can help the snorkeling team."
Okay. Here we go. Now we're getting
Sorry
somewhere.
about that. Okay.
Okay. So yes, so you were au pair for 2 weeks snorkeling, and I assume he liked you because you did wind up staying 2 months. And
4 months.
the chief of sport was none other than Hansel Moss, correct?
Yes, that is true.
True. Now, yes, I have a history with Hansel, and in fact, you were very integral in my interview with Hansel because you were tech support. You supplied the laptop that Hansel and I did our interview on, correct?
I did. That was my pleasure. He was trying to get with you, I know, for quite a few months, and
Oh
I brought
no,
down my
a year and
laptop.
a half, not a few
Oh,
months.
okay.
1 year and a
Long.
half. I waited for that interview. It was worth it, but I waited a long time.
Yeah, he had a lot to say. I know he had a lot to say. I was there, and yeah, so that worked out great because I think he's sort of don't have a lot of those IT specialties there in teeny little San
Yeah.
Salvador, Bahamas. So I was happy that I could help out and bring my laptop and shut the door and let you two go at it. So I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Well, now wait a minute. Shut the door and let you two go at it. No, we were miles apart.
I'm supposed to keep it clean. I forgot.
Seriously though. So what was Hansel like as a chief of sports? Seeing this was your first chief of sports, what was he like?
He was, can I just say, easy on the eyes?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, back then I can only imagine.
No, I'm kidding.
Because I met him 10 years later, in 96, but yeah, I assume,
Yes. He was a leader. I'll put it that way. He was a leader. He was boisterous, confident, extremely confident. extremely great with the guests and a good leader in terms of, the sports team. We had our own little, we had our ways, like contributions throughout the village and things like that. And he kept it conformed to sports team going to dress like this and act like this. And so we're definitely a team that was apart from the rest of the teams, in the village, like the boutique and the hostess team and all that. We were the sports team, and it was strongly led, and it was a lot of fun. It was a really good time. He's a great guy. He is a good leader. Again, I can't quite get past that. Anyways, great guy.
Yeah, he's very smooth.
We're still good friends after all these years.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, because he used to tell me stories. The 2.5 years I worked with him, he used to tell me stories about his sports team and how he used to run things. So I'm always jealous that I never got to be on his sports team, So I was just curious.
My Club Med career, that was my only sports experience, and it was short. So I enjoyed it, and I think he was new at the time at that role. So, but yeah, he led very, very well and very, very confidently, and strong leader, strong person, huge, big presence in the village. So we all kind of fed off his energy. I think if that's probably the best thing I can say is that, it was a lot of work, back in 86, there's no days off. You just work. And it was a blast. So leading two snorkeling trips per day under the leadership of Mr. Hansel Moss, and then doing the shows and fashion shows and everything else we had to do. It was just a great time. It was a perfect first experience.
Well, did they wind up giving you a contract that first season?
No. So I did stay, and I didn't even know what au pair meant at the time.
Okay.
So when I walked in there that first day, after checking out of that hotel and just walked into Club Med with no plan, then I learned, oh, I'm au pair. Okay. And then 4 months, I was there for 4 months total on the snorkeling team. And then, but during the time in the village, I made a really, really, really great friend, like a sister, Angie Boucher, who is still one of my best friends. And I see her
Angie,
often.
You met Angie in St. Lucia?
I did. Yes. She was a hostess. Yeah.
Okay.
I think she may have been chief hostess. I can't remember, but she was in the hostess team and I was on the snorkeling team, but we hit it off right away. We were like sisters. And so I told her my whole story. And when her contract was up, I asked Jose, I'm like, I might as well just leave. I mean, I want to go home with Angie, and she's my friend now. And so I went home with her back to Pinole, California, where she's from. And we hung out and did laundry and what you do in between villages. And then she got called to go to Martinique. And I'm like, I want to go. So now I have no contract. I've been au pair in St. Lucia for 4 months. And she, bless her heart.
Yeah, Sharon, 1 second. How'd you get home? Like if you bought a one-way ticket?
I think I just had my mom send money or something. Spoiled girl.
Yeah. Wire me some funds. Okay, got it.
Pretty much.
All right. So Angie goes.
So
Angie goes to Martinique, and now how do you buy a one-way ticket to Martinique now? Or?
No. So actually, what happened when we're in California, and I was with Angie, and she got called by the club. That was her next village. I said, I want to go. And what Angie did for me, she called Club Med and she said, I've got this great GO. She just did a season au pair in St. Lucia, and I vouched for her. And she got me the hostess job. So I got a contract. It was my first contract, 1987, summer of 87 in Martinique with her. And Mimi was our chief hostess at the time. And that is where I met sort of like the best team I've ever worked with in Martinique in 1987. And that is just just another great experience. But because of Angie, my whole Club Med career kind of blossomed from that point.
Okay. Now, at one point, did you want to leave hostess to go on the sports team, or you were happy working as a hostess with
happy
Angie?
As hostess. Yeah, I was happy because I was with Angie, and she showed me the ropes, and she had already done, I think, 2 villages or something, maybe 3. And so she just kind of, we were friends. And then of course, Martinique is such a great team. In fact, we just all saw each other. Believe it or not, Greg, you're not going to believe this one. We met all of us in 1987, and 21 of us just got back from Martinique Martinique in June. We had a reunion from 1987. 35 years later, we all met in the village where we met, and it was so surreal and so much fun. And Angie unfortunately couldn't make it, but there was about 20 of us down there, and it was a blast and lots of memories. Like it was just yesterday. You know how it is. You're like family with these people. And I just saw, in fact, the next GO for breakfast this morning, and I'm going to see some more, in the next couple of days. So it's just a family that you never lose. That Martinique time was fantastic.
Yes, these were, if I'm right, you were doing Zoom meetings over the pandemic with the Martinique team, and then one of you said, "Hey, we should all go," and then you went, right?
About a year in the making. Yep. During COVID.
Wow.
Exactly. We all found each other on Facebook, and what else do you have to do during that time? Right. And that's how it got started. Faith, my friend in Maine, was actually the driver of doing it in Martinique. We had some other ideas, where to meet up. Oh, we should all meet up, but then we're like, why not just go back to actually where we all met, which was just crazy. We all ran all over the village saying, I think this is my room. No, that was your room, and well, there was my hostess desk. Now it's the photo booth, and Garth found the DJ booth in the Annex restaurant. It was just crazy. Such memories. It was really, really, really a great time. Perfect weather, perfect friendships. It was fantastic. We were with each other all day for 5 days straight, and we never ran out of stuff to talk about, which you wouldn't believe, but it was just
And
fantastic.
were the picnics just as crazy as ever? Just kidding. Don't answer that.
You told me to keep it clean,
Well,
Greg.
yeah,
Come
I
on
know.
now.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to tempt you with a
Oh, I forgot about that part in
pic.
St. Lucia, the
Who?
picnics that I did. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Oh, well, wait. Back then, was St. Lucia singles or family?
Oh yeah, it was both.
A mix. Okay.
Yes, it was a mix.
Okay.
It was
But it
more
was
group
80.
picnics.
It was
Yeah.
86, right? The 80s were a crazy time
Oh
for
boy.
everyone, right? I mean,
Yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
mean,
It
so
was just a free for all.
were you surprised at the pool in Martinique? Because they added a pool, right? There wasn't a pool when you were
I
there.
was very surprised. Yes, it was quite different. Yes, the whole layout is a lot different. You still that long, long driveway, yeah, and out of the pool. Some upgrades. It was really nice. The rooms are nice. Same old. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. So one of the bartenders, the Geo bartender came. His name's Scott Steele, and another one, Charisse Strong, who's in.
Wait. This is a real name, Scott Steele?
Yeah, that's his
Just
real name.
just he get jokes about working in an industry because with a name like that. That's his real name, Scott Steele.
It is.
Okay. Wow. All right.
That's funny. I didn't even think about that.
Well,
Well,
sure. It
you
screams it to me. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Go on. Okay.
that's funny. I never thought of it that way. And the other one that's funny, Cherise Strong, Scott Steele, both bartenders. What are
Oh,
the odds?
wow. Okay.
That's funny. I never thought of it. So there's Scott and Cherise 35 years later. And guess what? Same GE that was working there back then is still there. So they're like, oh,
No,
I remember
really?
you. Yeah. And so
Oh
I
my
lived with
gosh.
Cherise, who was the bartender. And every morning she would come like, Cherise, où est les clés, Cherise? So
Okay.
that was where's the key. And so she was still, I couldn't believe it. We were all it was just incredible being back there. We had Richard Bank, Kara Bank. We call that's how you refer to people in Club Med, right? Sharon water ski or Steve, whatever. Sharon snorkeling, Angie hostess. So 20 of us, and it was just fantastic being
Actually,
back there.
I think it was Steve Watersky. He said,
Steve
because
Waterski.
no, he told guests it was Watersky and that he was Polish. No,
Oh,
it's
is
Steve
that what he said?
Steve Watersky. They're like, oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Silly. He speaks French too. Another American who speaks
Yes.
perfect French. Better
So
than I.
let's do any kind of funny, appropriate story break. So anything crazy, wonderful, interesting happened in St. Lucia or Martinique up until this point?
Oh gosh, are you kidding me? How much time do we have?
Well, just give me one here, before we move.
Oh boy. Well, Steve Waterski, we borrowed sometimes we would borrow the water ski boats after dark,
This is
and
in
we would
Martinique in 87, right?
in Martinique in
Okay.
87, yes. And we would carefully go into town at St. Anne and kind of get away from the village for a little while. And I guess probably my favorite story is when, it's middle of, the seasons are 6 or 7 months long, depending on, where you are in the season and so forth. But we were all just having such a blast. And so one night after the show, it's probably, 11:30 midnight, we all borrowed one of the water ski boats and carefully navigated over to St. Anne to get French fries and beer. And we all got together laughing in the boat and pulled up safely and had our little fun time. And we came back to the village, and there was Garth, the DJ, and he was kind of closing up. This is the best story. Oh my God, this is the best night of my season. We all together, he reopened the disco, he put on some music, and we all just danced together as a big group. It was so much fun. Just 80s songs like Arm in Arm, and we just loved each other so much. And we were so happy to be together with no GMs at the time. So that night was we were all so tired and hungover the next day, but it didn't matter because that was such a special time. Just I can see it like it was yesterday. It was great.
That's nice.
So the girls and I would lay out probably a little, back then you could, by the cannon over by the Tour de Port
Yes.
in Martinique. So the girls and I would lay out topless and float out there and, hang on to each other, sort of raft up. And oh my gosh, we had so much fun. There was a million memories, and the crazy questions you get from the GMs and just all of us kind of thinking, oh my gosh, this job is so hard. Now you now you wish you could work that hard, right?
Yeah.
Being in the middle of the tropical and 24/7, being with your best friends, it just doesn't get much better than that. I think it did shape my personality, and for my future, I think it changed me and made me the person I am today. So it was fantastic.
Wow. That's a very nice memory.
It was
Thank
there.
you.
There's a
I
yeah.
was
There's
I was I was getting the pause button ready here for you, but no, that was pretty good. Wow. Okay. Now were you topless again in Martinique in
Oh
2022?
yes.
I'm just
Oh
kidding.
yes.
Okay.
Oh no, I was. In fact, they're like,
Okay.
Sharon, put your top back on. Say, that's just Sharon.
Okay.
Always a
Gosh,
chick with the top off.
gosh darn it, Jared. Okay.
Yeah, look
Well,
on Facebook for those
well,
memories.
well, that's a big part of my Club Med culture shock. Like when I arrived, I was totally green, and a geo, was talking to me. Oh, hey, where are you from? And she was, yes, completely taught, and I didn't know what was going on. What is this job? Where am I? Okay, so yeah, that's part of my culture shock. So,
It was, I think Martinique, it was kind of okay because it's French island,
oh
obviously, and French
God,
company
yeah,
back then, So, but
everyone
when
was
we
right.
got there in June of this summer, I was like, "What, you guys? Like, put it back on. No one wants to see that." I'm like, "Oh, I beg your pardon. Someone wants to see these. I
Yeah,
bought these. You would like these. These are good. These are not circa 1987. These are new." So I'm proud of them. And
okay.
everyone who knows me knows that's my thing.
Okay. All right. Now, third season, I see. We're going to Florida
Oh
now.
boy, yeah.
Sad news lately because you go to Sandpiper in '88, and I guess how do you feel about Sandpiper closing before we get into
Yeah,
your?
RIP, totally
Yeah,
RIP, man. So sad. Good old Port St. Lucie. Yeah, not exactly as tropical and luscious and lovely as my first two experiences.
sure. But are you glad that you went after all? I mean, are you glad that you did
Yeah,
a season?
it's I don't know why this. I love Ben Busini is a great chief of the village. Ben was fantastic, and the team was great. It's just such a I don't know for some reason. I don't know if you had this experience, Greg, or if the other GOs do, but there's some seasons that are like, wow, that was so great, and
Yeah.
it was just I don't know what it was. The team wasn't as close. Luckily, I had two of my friends from Martinique season go with me. So Faith Boutique and Charisse Barr went to Sandpiper along with me, and so it was great to have them there. But it just wasn't quite the same, I think, and it was nice. I mean, it was fine. Being in Florida is different than being in Martinique and St. Lucia, but it was a very mellow season. It was
Was
nice.
Scott Steele with you guys?
No.
Oh, where did Scott Steele wind up?
There was a different Scott. There was a
Oh,
Scott
okay.
Walton. There was a Scott Walton who
Oh, okay.
was a good friend of mine at that club. I remember Judy Aerobics. I lived with Judy Aerobics, who I liked very, very much. We were such good friends. I miss her. And we lost touch. And Scott Walton was at this was in '88 in Sandpiper, and it was a fun village. I started as mini club, and I'm not real
Oh,
great with
really?
kids. Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, so I got there. I'm like, I don't know. So they put me in charge of the annex restaurant since I was more of a people person than a kid person, which turned out to be great. I loved the team, the locals at the village. They were just from all different places. Being in Florida, obviously, it draws a lot of different cultures, for the locals. And that was a great restaurant. And I worked annex restaurant there for about 5 months. That was a short season. I had to come home for my sister was getting married, so I had to leave there a little early. So yeah, Sandpiper was great. There's just some villages that are like, oh my gosh, but then there's some villages where it was fun. It just wasn't the same.
Well, did part of you like the fact that you could, like, if you wanted, you could easily buy something, or if you wanted to see a movie, you could? Was there any part of you that thought, well, it would take
Well,
me 3 months to get this mailed to me, but I can go get it now? No, nothing.
no, well, I don't know when you worked, Greg, but back in '88 and '87, we never left the village. I mean, in terms of
Oh, even in Sandpiper?
no, not even
Oh,
in
okay.
Sandpiper. Yeah, back then it was, pretty 24/7. In fact, there was a time when I wasn't feeling well and I wanted to get out, but you just can't. Between rehearsals, the restaurant, the cleanup, the fruit passage, whatever else was going on, I just never left those 4 months. I hear your point, and it was great for the geos that came later. But
Okay.
back then, yeah, it was all work all the time.
Any
But it was
crazy,
fun.
any
It was
crazy annex restaurant stories? Spoons in the glass. I don't know what
Oh
goes
my gosh,
on
we had a
there.
lot of
Okay.
manatee stories. Like, manatees were everywhere. It's kind of weird. They were like, oh, look at the manatees and all that.
There were
And no, but
manatees
not the
there?
there's a lot of manatees in the
Oh,
Sandpiper Village. And that was
okay.
sort of the big thing. Like that was the draw. Like, oh, let's go over to the restaurant and see the manatees. So, between the dinner service and the manatees, that was yeah, we didn't do anything as crazy as we did back in the Martinique and St. Lucia days. But yeah, it was a good experience. It was a quick one. It was a quick season for me.
I see you take a bit of a break and you go back to Paradise Island in
I
92,
did.
right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So
So I took a nice break thinking, okay, should I go back to reality? You know how it is,
yeah.
the GMs ask you all these crazy questions. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm done, after Sandpiper. But yeah, and I missed it. So I called Club Med. I'm like, it's been a while, but I want to come back. So they said, okay, you can be a hostess in Paradise Island. And I went over there and I think it was the guy was Turkish, the chef de village was Turkish. And it was a good hostess team. But I think honestly, at this point, I'm about 24, 25, and I just was done. I milked it thinking, oh, it's going to be the same vibe, but it just wasn't. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I wanted to get away. It was more like a little mini vacay to get away kind of thing. And I was there a really short time. The hostess team was fun and nice, but I felt old, to be honest. At 25, I was like, I'm an old timer. A lot of the team was a lot younger, and I just mentally.
Was there a big difference? Like since you started in like
Oh,
86, from
yeah.
86 to 88, and you start in the 90s. So was there a big difference from the 80s to the 90s? Did
It
you feel
was,
it?
it was. Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't so much it was more clicky with the geo teams. It wasn't as much, and the hostess team, we all, we had different hours, and it was one of those things where, we had to be on at certain hours in the restaurant and the service and the shows. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the biggest thing was I felt old. And those questions, like my favorite question from the GM is always like, oh, so do you live here? And I'm like, no, they fly us in every day. Of course we live here. And I was getting more cynical in my old age, ripe old 26. And I really, I had one quick relationship that was a local person back in Paradise Island, which made my time there a little bit more fun. But other than that, that was another short one, 4 months, and then I was out of there.
Well, part of your break, which I just want to talk about because it looks like fun, and I don't know if this was a happy time in your life, but you before Paradise Island during your break, you lived in Maui and you were a waitress on the beach for 6 months. Is that
I
true?
was, yeah. So yeah, I think the Club Med bug was still in me, but I didn't know. But at that time, you're like, God, this is so hard. I have to work all the time with 7 days a week, and so I thought, okay, well, if I go to Maui, I can still like be in the tropics and still have some fun, earn some money, and I don't have to work all the time. So it's ironic. I flew to Maui, same idea. Flew to Maui, one-way ticket. Who knows what's going to happen? I gave myself 4 days. I had 4 days of money saved up.
Oh,
And
really?
I went to I rented a bicycle and I rode my bike all over to Kaanapali shores and Kihei and right there on Front Street in Lahaina. I couldn't bike all the way to Hana, but I would have if I could have. But I was looking at, hotels, different places all over Napili Point. I went all over asking for a job. And my very last day, on my fourth day, I said, well, I didn't get any feedback. No one's hiring. Oh, maybe call me, next week. And I'm like, I don't have until next week. So one of those things. So my very last day, when I'm running out of money, I said, I'm gonna treat myself to a really nice lunch at this place on the beach that I probably shouldn't because I probably can't afford it, but it's fancy. And then I guess I have to go home tomorrow. And so I get out there, gorgeous view, and the wait staff is like, I told him a story, like, why are you by yourself? And I told him I want to work here and it didn't work out. And there's like, well, we're hiring. So I ended up staying for 6 months. And this was a really nice, great restaurant. The upstairs part was the fancy part, and the downstairs bar, it was called Sam's, if anyone knows, gosh, it would have been early 90s. Yeah. Sam's in Lahaina on Front Street, right on the beach. It's a Canadian owned restaurant, and we had a blast. I ended up rooming with the chef and one of the hostess ladies. I was a server. We had 99-cent beer night on the beach, and that's when I made most of my money. And I put all my tips in a sock, and I put that sock in my closet, and I left Maui 6 months later with $3,000. So
Nice.
that was just a little fun thing. I just never wanted to go back to college or school, and so I just partied and went around,
Uh,
did what I wanted to do.
Please say you keep your money in a bank now, Sharon, and not a
No,
sock.
it's still in my
Okay.
sock.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That sock is
Uh,
getting pretty thick now.
okay.
It's in the closet.
Okay. let's go back to Club Med.
Good.
Club Med for a sec. Did you meet any have any celebrity encounters when you were in Club Med? And either
Oh, Greg, are we going to go there?
just well, okay. I mean, did you meet any? Okay, maybe I shouldn't say encounter. Did you meet any famous people, singers, actors, dancers?
Okay, Greg, I can see where you're going with this.
Yeah,
Actually,
you promised to abide by that first rule. Okay, so so who did you meet?
I have a celebrity story, but it wasn't
Oh,
in Maui. It was back in LA. I do have a celebrity story.
oh,
Should
but
I?
not
I
in
don't know.
Club Med. Well, I want to know who in
No,
Club. Oh,
no.
really? Not in Club Med?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
My celebrity story was same time frame, same 90s, So picture this, Sharon is from island to island to Maui, back to home and doing the LA, club scene and parties and event shows and things like that. And so picture this award show, 1994, something like that, maybe 95. And I get tapped on the shoulder. Gosh, should I tell this story? Okay.
Well, as long as it's appropriate, Sharon. You know,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm trying to keep it clean, Greg. It's
yeah,
not.
yeah, please, yeah, just
No. So I get tapped on the shoulder and we're, kind of just in there with a friend of mine. And he says, oh, that guy over there would like to talk to you. I'm like, well, have him come over himself. And he's like, don't you know who that is? I'm like, no, but can he come over himself? And he's like, well, could you come over and talk to him? I said, I guess, and rolled my eyes. Well, when I get closer, I realize that he's one of the Jackson Five, the Jackson Five. Randy Jackson, not the American Idol Randy Jackson, but Randy Jackson
not
brothers.
Tito, not Tito.
No, no, no
I like
Tito, no,
Tito.
no Jermaine, no Michael.
Darn it.
Randy and I, yeah, we met.
Okay,
And,
Randy. All
yeah,
right.
nice guy. And interesting. He invited me to a air quotes party at his house. So I thought, oh my gosh, Janet and Michael, and oh my gosh, because I'm from LA. So, I knew where they lived and stuff and where he grew up. And so we're in the limo and we're heading back to his place. And I'm thinking there's going to be just lines and lines of cars. The party, I guess, wasn't really so much a party for a bunch of people, but more of a party for two. And but on the way up to his, okay, sorry, I'll keep it clean. I'll just say this:
Thank
on
you.
the way up to his bedroom, and in the, when you come to someone's home and you see pictures, when you see pictures of the Jackson family on the walls, like just like you have in your own home of your family and friends, it was pretty cool. And Randy Jackson had a solo out at that time with the times of those, Betamax, whatever, VHS. And he's like, do you want to watch the video I just put out with it? I said, sure, I guess. Yeah, needless to say, was never a big hit, but nice guy. We talked for a few months and he's the Jackson Five. So that's my celebrity story. It happened in LA. And if anyone wants to get details, call me.
Yeah, yeah. Just DM her after this episode.
Yeah, DM, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
that was my celebrity story. Good old Randy. Mm-hmm.
All right. Were there any, like, I know you mentioned Jose Aliel. I think he was your favorite chief, right? Or the
Yeah, well,
and Hansel you liked as a chief of sport. Was there anyone, like, I don't want to leave anyone out. So
well,
like if you'd
let's
like to
just say
take the
this.
time to call out people that you liked working with, please
Yes,
do.
I do want to say one more celebrity story of someone who I really love, and that's Hansel Moss, the greatest of all time.
That's true.
That's my celebrity. No,
Okay.
Hansel and I mean, gosh, after all this time, we met in '86, and I'm still, we're still really, really great friends, and I look forward to seeing him more often. And what a great guy! So that's my other celebrity in Club Med world. Hansel is a celebrity, and I'm happy to say that he's one of my good friends. So that's my other celebrity story. But other than, yeah, Jose Aliel, I think we still talk on Facebook quite a bit, happy birthday here and there, how have you been kind of thing. This is really cool too. During the pandemic, we got in touch with our old chief of the village in Club Med Martinique, the Martinique, my favorite season. And Michel Verdure is also, he was on all the calls, and Michel Verdure is living in Florida right now. He's doing great. And we were all interested to find out that our season in '87 was his last season. So it's funny because during all the calls, we were so worried, like, oh, Michelle's on the call, don't screw up, but the chef de village is on the call, even though we're all in our 50s now. And he said, well, that was my last village. And everyone's reaction was, oh my gosh, I tried so hard to do everything right and impress you and do all these things. And it turns out you were quitting afterwards. And he's like, yeah, I was kind of sick of it. And we all were like, well, we would never have tried so hard to impress you and do all the right things and, follow the rules if we had known. So now that it's funny, being all peers, even playing field, just adults that care about each other and like each other, have great memories. It is great just to talk to him as a friend versus, the quote unquote chef de village we're all scared of, trying to impress.
Can
Because
I,
as you know, they have that power over us.
yes. Well, can I ask you something? Yeah. Since you worked with Angie, like, did you know, was there anything about Angie back then? Like, I don't know if she was talking about it. Like maybe Chief of Village wasn't on the horizon, but did you ever think that Angie would become a great Chief of Village when you were working with her?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah, I
really?
did.
Okay.
She was always, yeah. You know what? Even so, I think, like I said, St. Lucia 86 was probably her second or third village. And, even at that time, I think she was maybe not chief hostess. She couldn't have been that early on, but she was a leader. She's a born leader. She still is, she's still a leader and a great, great organizer and a motivator and everyone wants to be around Anne. She's very magnetic, very magnetic. So she makes everyone feel like they're special. And I think that's a good feature in a chief of the village. But yes, and in Martinique, she was helping me a lot with my hostess duties. And then we kept in touch, of course, over the years. And then, she made hostess. I mean, she made chief, and she's doing the stage. And oh my gosh. And sure enough, I kind of had a feeling she's always a great, great leader. I saw her in Huatulco. And then I think it was 2003, I visited her in the Maldives. This is a funny story. So there's chief of the village, Angie, in the Maldives. Now she's been chief of the village in many, many different villages now for years. And it's 2003. And I say, I'm going around the world. Let me stop by the Maldives and see what's up. So I visit her, hug it out. Oh my gosh, I've known you forever, blah, blah, my sister. And I see this cute GM and I'm like, oh, Ange, oh my gosh, that guy is hot. And she goes, he is. I'm like, what do you think I should do? And she's like, well, I wouldn't talk to that guy because he's my boyfriend and he's been coming like 14 times to this Club Med in Maldives. And now they're happily married and they've been married for 7 years, I think. And yeah, so Manu was a GM from France that kept going back to Club Med in the Maldives, which is how they met. I think it was maybe his fourth visit. So she pulled my leg and tried to, she play a little joke on me that, oh yeah, there's a hot GM over there. Turns out her husband and still is, and good friends, both good friends of mine. And I'm really happy for both of them. So I knew that she'd be successful. I knew that she'd be a great chief. And it's funny now that she's working in the retirement communities. She basically said, well, Sharon, what else am I supposed to do now that I'm done with Club Med? I can wrangle and take care of a bunch of old people just like I did all the damn GOs. So why
Yeah.
not?
And still look, and compared to them, you're still young as a spring chicken, right?
Absolutely. And just like good old Angie, she's magnetic. She's a great organizer. She's motivating. She's a very, very, very hard worker. So to answer your question, yeah, she's always had it in her. I think that's why I was attracted to her in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Sharon, if you wouldn't mind talking, we're going to steer a little bit from Club Med for a sec, because I mentioned in your intro about a passion project of yours. Can you tell me, please, what is the Culture Club show?
Yes, thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of it. So it's cultureclubshow.com if anyone wants to take a look at that. So back in 2013, I was really had a really great lucrative job in the pharmaceutical industry here in San Diego. And the job was there for 13 years. And then the drug was so successful that we all got a pretty good umbrella package and we were done because the drug was sold off to Merck and I was no longer employed. But a passion has always been travel. And a big thing for me as a world traveler is that a lot of people say, if I say, I go to Kenya or been to Maldives or been to Myanmar, say, is it safe? Or should I go? Or aren't you scared? And all these things. So it's been a passion of mine to change the misconceptions of international travel for Americans, because it's important that people go and see places that, it's not Vegas or, Europe. To go to Africa and the Galapagos and, New Zealand and things with different cultures and people is really, really important to people's growth. So I came up with an idea all by myself and I wanted you to be in the club, air quotes, of it's about cultures. So therefore I called it Culture Club. So the Culture Club show. And my goal was to go ahead and film in Kenya, Tanzania, Korea, Vietnam, and a couple other countries, I think, and just sort of make it a place where everyone could say, she's at the time I was 46-year-old female woman from California traveling on her own all throughout the world. And I wanted to show that it's really, not only is it safe, but it was a great experience. I went gorilla trekking in Rwanda by myself. I went on many, many safaris. I met a lot of different tribes in Kenya. I met Vietnamese people that were just charming and lovely, the Maori culture in New Zealand, for example. So my goal was to sort of share about these cultures so that you could be in the club of getting it, Yeah, so I hired a videographer and an editor, and I filmed for months. And I went, actually, I turned it in, editor turned it into a 27-minute episode, and I had a sizzle reel, which is about 3.5 minutes, and pitched it to Discovery Channel and also to the OWN network, the Oprah Winfrey Network. Now, this is the time that she had just started her own network and she didn't have any travel shows. So I was in communication with Oprah Winfrey's team for quite some time. We were back and forth negotiating about, having the show on the air, on her channel. I also went to the Africa Channel in Los Angeles and talked to them a little bit about it, and Discovery Channel, and we were also close in discussions. So I hear something, and now it's 2014-ish, and they say, things are going to just be streaming. You're going to be able to call up your own shows. Well, it's 2014 and I'm old, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just want this show to be on TV, because I had a business model that the minister of tourism in these various countries would give me an additional $20,000 funding. And the only thing I had to do was to have it be on air in the States. So we figured that was going to work fine. It's on the air. I can promise you that. And here's my $20,000 so I can continue to travel and film more places and uncover all these great things about these countries that I want everyone to see. So long story short, it didn't happen. Streaming kind of took over. They were right. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but now I understand it. And so I guess my timing was a bit off, but I do have a website. I do have the passion. I do continue to tell people as many times as I can, as often as I can, that traveling around the world and just going, whether it's solo, with a group, go to the places that no one would ever think about. Look at a map and say, I want to go to Myanmar. I want to go to Singapore. I want to go to South Africa or Peru, just because it's there. Just learn and go, and it'll change your life. I promise you that. And that is why I enjoy the Culture Club show. Now that people talk about it a little bit, and I enjoy the Traveler Century Club too, because they've seen the show. They're big proponents of my work. And being in a room where people have all been over to over 100 countries is just so great for me. I'm in my element, and the things we can talk about, all positive. And there's so much good about international travel. I just can't say enough about it. So I know I could go on and on, but I won't. But that's generally what I did for a long time. It's a big part of my life. And hopefully I can pick it up at some point. I'm not sure how I can turn it into a show again, or if I'm going to do something with it, but I'm open to suggestions. I'd love to hear from anybody who wants to take a look at
definitely put the link in in your episode description. So I encourage people to check it out after listening to Sharon's interview here. Now, for the Travel Century Club, so how do you have to prove that you've visited over 100 countries at all?
No, it's definitely an honor system. Yeah, it's an honor system. And yes, so when my mother died, I found in her files this from Sunset Magazine, this thing about the Traveler Century Club. So at this point, I'd been to like 75 countries, and I looked up this place. It's an organization that's been around for about 65 years out of Los Angeles. And I called them and I said, well, I'm 48 and I've been to 75 countries. And they said, well, yeah, we can call you a provisional member, but you got to get to 100. So from that point on, I just kept traveling, kept going. And now I'm up to 103. And no, you don't have to prove it, but it's just honor system. Some people in the club feel like, oh, I just touched my foot down and therefore I've been to that place, which I personally don't agree with. I can tell you something specific about all of 103 countries I've been to. I have to at least have experienced something to tell you that I've been there. So I'm up to 103, and I'd like to keep going. My latest trip was Madagascar. That was right before the pandemic. Madagascar and the Mauritius Islands. That was my last big adventure. I'd love to go to, I haven't been to Dubai yet. I'd love to go to Dubai and Qatar over for Christmas. Actually, that's my next trip. But yeah, being with these people, like I said, and hearing where they just came back from and where they're planning to go, my feet don't even touch the ground when I'm in these meetings. I'm fascinated, and we have so much fun together. It's a great group.
And I take it the Traveler Century Club has no association with the Mile High Club, correct?
Greg, you told me to keep it clean.
Oh, that's true. I know. I keep prompting you. I'm sorry.
You shut me down.
Let's. I know. I'm setting you up. You're knocking them down. Okay, let me ask you a Club Med question. Okay, I'm sure you've had time to think about this question because I do it every day. What are the 3 things you miss the most about Club Med?
Oh gosh, the camaraderie with the team. Absolutely. That, just kind of having, you work so hard. And at the end of the night, if you have a party in your room, or if you just pass by somebody and roll your eyes like, oh my gosh, we're so tired. And the camaraderie and the sisterhood and brotherhood, like, these are my family, like I said, I still see and talk to them all the time, all the ones I've mentioned throughout this interview. And I guess you feel like a kind of a cool person. Like you have a really cool job. I think right now I'm back in the pharmaceutical industry and I'm not as cool as I used to be. I'm 54 and doing the pharma thing from home. And I was teaching snorkeling on an island twice a day with cool people. I think, so kind of being like, a cool person that people kind of think is like when I first saw the Club Med in Ixtapa, I liked that feeling, being the person that I had seen, the way that I first saw the geos and I wanted to be, and I made it happen. I think that was what I'm so proud of myself, because I did just go to St. Lucia. I made it happen. And I guess the last thing would be looking forward to the next one. Once you get home and you're waiting for that call to go back to the next one, and it's something to look forward to. I am not married and I don't have any kids. So it was fun. Like, where are you going to send me next? So I think the anticipation and the camaraderie and the cool factor.
So speaking about your third one, I don't know how it was on the West Coast, like to this day. So back then we would get our plane tickets delivered by Pure Later or some other courier.
Okay,
so was that how you were getting your plane tickets?
No, FedEx. So FedEx. I mean,
okay,
that's worldwide. Yeah. So back then, right.
But do you see a FedEx truck now and go, every day I see a FedEx or Pure Later and I think, oh my God, my plane ticket. So I was just curious if you have that experience.
I do. And it's funny you say that. Yes. I remember waiting, it's always last minute with Club Med, right? So you get, you're leaving like in 2 days. And right. So waiting for the Martinique ticket in the FedEx envelope, and it was on the guy came and signed for it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And packing, knowing you're leaving in 2 days. But I have to say, the coolest part was getting to Miami airport, because as you mentioned, I'm in California, so I'd leave out of LAX and go all the way to Miami, so excited. And I'd see the Club Med sign. It was for the charters back then in the day, and you look for the Club Med sign. These are my people, and I was, I'm the new GO. And to this day, Greg, when I walk through the Miami airport, I can still see myself looking around going, where are my Club Med people? I'm so excited to get to the next village, which happened, for me 3 times, Martinique, Paradise Island, and Sandpiper. So that excitement, all 3 times were Miami airport. And it was that FedEx truck now still. Yeah, I'll never forget those days waiting for that. And I just couldn't wait. Even the last one, when I thought, oh gosh, do I really want to go back? It was still so great to be wanted again and go back there and try it again. Although that was, then, you want to make sure you're totally done. It's out of your system. And so that's when I knew that I was done. But I'm glad that I did it as many times, and I kept going back until I was finished. But it was fantastic. And yeah, I miss that anticipation.
You want to try some rapid fire questions?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite crazy sign?
Hands up.
Really? Okay. Do you have a favorite dumb question from a GM? You must have got a lot when you were in the annex or hostess.
Yes. I think the one I mentioned was probably the worst, but let me think of another.
Okay. What, do you live here? Is that what?
Yeah.
Do
you guys all live here? And then I think the other one that really annoyed me was, oh, my son and daughter should do this. Hey, how did you get into this? That every time we get that, I wanted to push a record button and be like, here you go. I think those are my 2 most annoying. So do you live here? And then, oh, my daughter wants to do this. How to get in it? And it's such a long thing. You have to go into the whole story over and over and over again. But yeah, that was it.
Did you have a favorite animation passage from anyone, like any animators that you recall you worked with that did something?
Oh my gosh, probably Pew Pew. Pew Pew was
Pew Pew.
Pew Pew. I can't remember. I don't even remember.
Pew Pew was the name of the animator?
Yes.
Okay. I've never heard that one before.
I know anyone from my village is going to know exactly what Martinique is.
Pew Pew. Okay.
Pew Pew. Okay. Pew Pew. And how embarrassing. I don't even know his real name.
I'm already laughing at that name. I've never heard that nickname before.
Okay. And he was hysterical. He would, he did a lot of funny stuff, and he was just everywhere all the time, making funny jokes, he was the most active and apparent, animator. Pew Pew. Pew Pew. Yep.
So did he have one thing in particular that he would do, or he was just was he the type of animator that stayed in character, like you couldn't break him? Was he that type of guy? Okay.
Exactly. Like Entrance to the Restaurant. We did a lot of Entrance to the Restaurants in Martinique and in St. Lucia. And I think, but Pew Pew was Martinique, but yeah, the Entrance to the Restaurant, he'd always be there and messing with our costumes. But the GMs would laugh, because although we're on the same team, he would kind of be like poking fun at us, and, like, not mime, not like the corny French mime or whatever, but more like, he would look at her, look at him, kind of with a different, he would tease us, and it was funny to the GMs. I think he was just funny.
How do you spell Pew Pew? How did he spell that on his badge? Was it PEW or was it Pew?
PIU?
Oh, Pew Pew.
Yeah.
Okay. Was
But
he French? Was he French?
yeah, he was French. Yep, yeah,
Okay.
he was French. Yeah, he was short and funny, and he smoked a lot, but he just made funny, like sometimes gross jokes, but mostly just poking fun at everybody. But he was everywhere, throwing water on people, looked like water, but it was confetti. The kind of the clown.
Mhm.
But he was funny. He was good.
Did you learn any skills while you were there? Like, did you have time to learn a sport that you hadn't tried before, or no? You were just because there was no days off. You were just always working.
No, but I do have a funny story about that. So I didn't think I could sing, but the team at Martinique was like, yeah, sing Madonna, Crazy for You. And they came up with some various, when you do the, all the different cabaret nights when, you have to fill time and fill the show. And can anyone sing? And they were like, Sharon can sing. I'm like, I really can't, but okay. Well, after, 6 months, I'm like, maybe I can sing. I really got a little cocky about it, right? I've got the team, I've got Ricardo Land Sports and Jim Land Sports and Faith Boutique. Yay, Sharon, you're so good. I'm singing Madonna like crazy. I sound terrible. And I got so confident and I believed them when they were like, yay. So when I got to Sandpiper, it was so funny. I get to Sandpiper and they say, oh, what do you come? I'm like, well, I'm a singer with all confidence. And so I go to the choreographer lady, whatever, and I'm like, I'll do cats. Big mistake. Big mistake.
Oh, you told her you would.
I would do. I would sing.
I'll consent to doing cat. Oh, sing. Oh, which? Oh, not the main song from.
Oh yeah. Oh
Barbara
yeah.
Streisand.
I went
Memory. Oh, memory. Oh my
yeah,
God.
Oh yeah. Went all out.
Please say there's a recording of this somewhere. Please say you have this. You videotape this.
Okay. Oh my God. It's terrible. It was okay. Terrible. So this is just rehearsal. Like I just get to the village and I'm, I told you I was started it and mini club. Now I'm annex. And they're like, okay, go for it. I'm not even going to try it on this thing because you probably just hang up on me. But
you just do the high notes. Okay.
She told me, stop, cut. Who told you could sing? And I said, my village in Martinique. Okay. And she laughed. And to this day, I am so mad at them. I remember talking. I called one of the people back that was in Latino. We always kept in touch. I said, were you guys teasing when you said I could sing? And they all start laughing every time I check in with somebody. I said, do you know that I wouldn't embarrass myself in Sandpiper because you guys gave me false hope? And they said, we thought that would be a funny joke because you weren't that good.
The whole village was in on this joke?
Yeah. It was yes, all my friends.
Not cool, but for a whole village to get in on?
Oh my gosh. Well, all just my friends, like we all support each other. If like Suzanne, for example, Suzanne Devasta, Suzanne Sister, excuse me. She's married to her French Geo, her new husband is a Geo. So Suzanne Sater, and she was from Brooklyn. And she was so great. So we'd all cheer her on because she actually could sing really, really well. And she could do anything really, really well. She's very, very talented. So then here comes Sharon. And it was kind of a joke. Like, but I didn't know it was a joke, Greg. I didn't know.
Okay. Everyone loves that song, Memories, right? It's a beautiful song, even though we don't like cats. But had you heard? But I assume you like the song? You heard it enough to know the words, right?
Well, I did because as hostess, you're sitting there selling the beads, and there's all the team is doing cats right in front of you, like every single week. You hear it like all the time. So you go, I had it down. I memorized a bunch of stuff just from sitting there listening to what is it? Rum-a-Tum Tiger.
Rum-Tum Tugger. I don't know how I know that. I've never seen it, but
it was a curious cat and so I memorized it just because I watch it every day. And so that was my favorite song in the play that my Geo friends were doing. And so when I took that talent, quote unquote, talent that I thought I had to Sandpiper, like, yeah, no, we're just going to keep you in the dance ones.
Okay. So you encountered like a Simon Cowell when you got to Sandpiper. They shot you straight, right? Like, who told you could say? Okay. Oh boy.
Like the big cane that they pull you off stage. Yeah. Basically
at the Apollo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I learned how to. So to answer your question, I guess I was going to say I learned how to sing, but apparently I will not. Okay. I will not claim that. I will claim that I learned how to dance.
Now, so will you karaoke now or no? Or you won't even go?
Yes.
Okay. So you haven't shied away from. So now you embrace it. You're like, I'm going to sing no matter what.
Plenty of booze.
Okay. What's your go-to? What's your go-to now? What's your song that you go to in karaoke?
So in my last village, so this is like perfect way to round out the story. My last village, he's like, well, sing something. And I said, and I sang, and I have a high voice. He goes, well, this song is perfect for you. And just out of nowhere. And okay, should I try it? Should I go for it?
Yeah, man. Sure. Please.
Okay. So for those of you that remember the songs back in the 80s and early 90s, Okay. Ready?
Who's the singer? Just give us the name of the singer.
Company B.
Company B.
Company
Okay.
B, and the song is called Fascinated. This is my go-to to
Oh,
this day. I just went to a wedding a couple weeks ago and it was my go-to. Okay, ready?
okay.
I'm fascinated by your love, boy. I'm fascinated by your love, boy. That's
I remember that song.
I'm fascinated by the way. So he said, that fits your voice. That's where you should stay. And that's where you should live. And don't sing anything else ever. And so I have one go-to song. And
Okay. Okay. Well, okay. That's a
that
nice way
from,
to round it up
was
there.
from 92. And that was the last song I'll ever sing. Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, well, okay, we're coming closing to the end here, but before I let you go, am I forgetting to ask you something? Something you want to say? Someone you want to thank? You've been so kind with your time, so please, now is the moment to say whatever you want.
I just appreciate you for doing this and bringing us all together, because it really does, mean a lot to all of us to hear the stories again. And it's so fun listening to your podcast. And, if everyone's listening, make sure and download it. I'm sure you're going to cover that at the end, but we appreciate your time. But I think, I just wanted to, I guess this changed my life. It was just everything. I'm going to start to cry. It was just such a great time. And, Club Med people, when you find a Club Med person, you have that bond. It's like, you just know that's like a sister or a brother. Even if the ones that Angie puts together in Turks and Caicos with 200 people, we are the most unique group of people for what we did and what we're able to do and the personalities we have and our ability to continue to work that hard and still smile. It's a unique trait. And it was the best part of my life, for sure.
Here. Me too. You are right, Sharon. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, it was great. So the Martinique reunion was fantastic. I'll shout out to some of the ones I haven't seen, like Scott Walton from Sandpiper and Judy Aerobics and Sandpiper. And let's see.
Scott Steele.
Scott Steele.
Where's Scott? I love that name. Please say it's spelled Steele. Please say it's spelled that way.
How did
Is
you
it?
know?
Oh, yeah. It's perfect. My God, he was in the wrong line of work. Gosh. Okay.
That is so funny. Steve Waterski, Garth, DJ, Michelle Nurse, Angie, of course, and my sweetheart Hansel. Nothing specific, but I'm honored to have been able to talk about it a little bit, and I've got some dirty stories that I was, holding back on, which you're happy to chat with anybody about those later. Just kidding. But no, the Michelle Verdour and Jose Ariel and Ben Bucina, all great chiefs of the village. I just consider myself very lucky to have had this experience. But yeah, that's about it. I'm just so happy to talk about it and answer questions. And thanks for shouting out my show and my passion for Africa and the world and all the countries and different cultures around the world. It's important you go out there and see it.
Yeah. I highly encourage everyone to check out the Culture Club show, cultureclub.com, because it's a very well edited. I mean, it look like something you would watch on TV or stream, because I had time to look at it at work, so it's a very high quality. So please encourage you to check out her link. And once again, thanks to the amazing Sharon Lee from California for taking the time to talk to us today. Thanks so much, Sharon.
Hands up, Greg. Thank you so much. I had a great time.
Me too. We'll see you all next week. Bye.